Not all migrants in South Africa are lucky. Others have resorted to crossing the porous border into landlocked Eswatini in the northeastern part of South Africa.
We're seeing people as far as Zimbabwe who are trying to come to Eswatini.
We need to have a very uncomfortable conversation about Ghana.
Diplomatic row is brewing between Accra and South Africa after claims of xenophobic violence.
Now think about that for a second. And if that sounds ridiculous, that is because it should.
We are all acting like we care about the poor people in our countries. We don't. No, we do not. The reason it feels like we care about our fellow black people in South Africa is because we just want to look better than South Africans. Otherwise, we are not. But there's a lesson I would like Nigerians to learn in all of this. Okay. Hello, fellow Africans. My name is Lillian, and I appreciate you for clicking on this video. My returning viewers, I appreciate you for coming back. I will appreciate a like on this video. Remember to hit the subscribe button if you are comfortable with my type of videos. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section. I might not be able to reply all, but I do read them. Let's get into today's video. A quick disclaimer before we get into the videos I have to display in this video. What I do on here is reacting to verified news that are happening around the continent, videos that are already in public domain. So if you're angry, if you want answers, I'm going to try and tag the owners of these videos so you can go straight there and ask them or pour out your heart. With that being said, let us begin this video by going to the border between the Kingdom of Eswatini and the Republic of South Africa.
The rise in violence against migrants in South Africa have forced many to flee back home. Nigeria, Ghana, and Uganda are some of the nations who chartered planes to return their citizens to safety. But not all migrants in South Africa are lucky. Others have resorted to crossing the porous border into landlocked Eswatini in the northeastern part of South Africa.
We're seeing people as far as Zimbabwe who are trying to come to Eswatini. And as you can see, the borderline is a little bit porous, and now the strength is a major problem for us as a defense force.
For long stretches, this border between Eswatini and South Africa is marked by little more than strands of barbed wire. This frontier is becoming increasingly important for migrants fleeing the rising violent xenophobia in South Africa. Thousands have been fleeing into Eswatini, putting pressure on its border force's ability to cope. The Defense Force says most attempted illegal crossings are being detected along the Ngwenya, Oshuk, Lavumisa, and Matamo border corridors. Eswatini is home to an estimated 33,000 foreign-born residents, representing about 2.7% of the country's population. Most are documented migrants living and working legally. But organizations that help migrants say any sustained increase in undocumented arrivals could place additional pressure on a country already facing limited resources and high unemployment.
The economy of the country is very, very small, and each time we have an increase in the population through immigrants, it presents huge challenges, more especially for the immigrants themselves, because they come here in need of food, in need of clothes, in need of shelter, which in itself then presents challenges to the government.
While the Ministry of Foreign Affairs declined to comment on the reported increase in undocumented migrants entering Eswatini, officials say their immediate focus remains the welfare of Emaswati living in South Africa as immigration enforcement there intensifies.
We, however, wish to reiterate that Eswatini should still endeavor to make sure that they uphold and respect immigration laws of the Republic of South Africa.
For generations, this border has connected families, trade, and opportunity. Now it is also emerging as one of Southern Africa's newest migration frontlines, testing Eswatini's ability to balance border security with its long tradition of regional openness. Nokukhanya Musi, Africa Matters, Ngwenya, Eswatini.
I have done a couple of reactions here, and I have been free, to give my opinions about the videos, about the news. But this one is a little difficult. In as much as it's difficult for me to give my sincere opinion, I have one question to ask. Why are we avoiding going back to our own countries? People keep telling me the reason they are not happy with South Africans is because they are taking laws into their hands. They should have allowed the government to do it. Is it the government's responsibility to take to the street to demand, regardless of what it is that you want in your country? Is it wrong for the citizens of a country to take to the streets to demand that foreigners be expelled out from the country? I don't understand. Oh, we see them, they are violent, they are doing this. Do you know that if we want to be real with ourselves, want to be real, you know that this continent will scatter. If we want to start bringing videos from around the continent of how the locals react towards migrants in each and every single country on this continent, do you know that we Africans will no longer greet each other? Every day my heart breaks how I find myself in a continent where people do not want to hear the hard truth, because it will mean that you are putting somebody down by simply admitting or saying something. A time will come when I will no longer explain myself, but let me explain it in this video. I have never said I support violence against anybody, regardless of who it is done against. It is done against South Africans, done against non-South Africans. I have never come out here to say be violent to people. I never said that. Now, can somebody please help me, do me a favor? Why our African brothers and sisters avoiding their own homeland? Can we know why? What is going on around the continent? These are the uncomfortable questions that people are avoiding. Instead of us to take it back a little and ask. For me, I don't know why everyone is being so emotional. Have we as Africans sit down like this for a minute? Why are people avoiding their own countries? Why? What is going on there? Now, before you ask me, why are you not living in your own country? I have not been told to go back to my country. There have not been a time a group of people came to where I reside to tell me to go back to my country. Take note of that. The question I keep asking is, what is chasing people away from their homeland, their own countries? What is going on? Something might be going on there, but we don't want to talk about these things. We are all focusing on South Africans for asking us to leave their country. You come to my house, you've been here for like a while, maybe an hour, 2, 3, 4, or a day, and I decide that I do not want you here in this rented apartment of mine. I do not want you here again, maybe for nothing. And I ask you to go. You say you don't want to go. Then I forcefully force your bag and keep it outside because I want you to go. While your items are out there, I call my landlord on you to ask you to go. Rather than go, you choose to go into my neighbor's apartment. Why? Is there a problem? All the while you were in my own apartment, the conversation we've had, asking you, is everything all right at home? You said yes, your country is perfect, your home is good, everything is intact, the water is running, electricity is top notch, the schools are good, you have school fees to pay. Fine. I said go home. Rather than going home, you choose to enter the next neighbor's apartment, even though that one too is telling you, I'm afraid I cannot have you here. God, nobody is understanding my point of view on this issue. Something might be wrong on the continent. What is wrong? Why are people avoiding their homes? Or is there bad leaderships going on at home? Anyway, let us move on to the next video.
we need to have a very uncomfortable conversation about Ghana. Right now, Accra is leading a furious diplomatic campaign to paint South Africa as a continental pariah.
A diplomatic row is brewing between Accra and South Africa after claims of xenophobic violence.
But if you look behind the moral outrage at xenophobia in South Africa, the truth is starting to unravel. My name is Golita Hunter, and in my column on News 24 this week, I argue that yes, we have deep, painful issues with the anti-migrant sentiment in South Africa that our country and our government must fix. But Accra has weaponized the recent xenophobia wave. And to be honest, they have been using official channels to perpetuate misinformation. First, it was labeling a tragic extortion shooting in Cape Town as a xenophobic assassination, which was not the case. They even twisted a routine SADC scheduling conflict to claim that they snubbed President Cyril Ramaphosa from visiting Ghana because of the xenophobic wave, and that's not true. So, why the sudden hostility? The answer isn't in our streets. It's in Ghana's lucrative gold fields. Accra recently shocked the mining sector by refusing to renew the lease of a South African company, Goldfields, at its Damang mine, a site that the South African company has run since the 90s. And now they've given it to a local firm run by the president's own brother. By painting South Africa as a moral pariah linked to the anti-migrant crisis, Accra manufactures the political capital it needs to legitimize their moves, which is basically resource nationalism and the asset stripping of a South African company. So here's the thing. Ghana is growing at a roaring 6.4% per quarter. They want to be the undisputed powerhouse of West Africa. And to do that, they're flexing their muscle against the continent's economic giant, South Africa. This is why DIRCO Minister Ronald Lamola cannot treat this with passive diplomacy. We must summon the High Commissioner and demand answers. We cannot allow our national shame to weaponized by regional rivals for something beyond our understanding. It's time to call out the Accra agenda. It's a scramble for economic power that's disguised as moral outrage.
This has nothing to do with me and my relationship with Ghana as a country or Ghanaians as a people. This has everything to do with the conversation that is going on around the world or around the continent right now, okay? It has everything to do with the topic on GRAN. Let us move on to the next video.
Lagos State government sends Nigerians back. The Lagos State government says that hundreds of beggars have been apprehended and they are being returned to their respective states. What do you mean by that? Respective states or respective Nigeria? Because as far as we are concerned, we are all Nigerians. Now let us ask some obvious questions, right? Since when did poverty become a deportable offense? Because the primary responsibility of the government, so I know, is to maintain law and order, right? Nobody is disputing that. Prosecute people if they are criminals. If they are criminal syndicates who are exploiting people through organized begging, then the responsibility of the government is to dismantle those syndicates. But if the issue is simply because people are poor, then the responsibility is not to move poverty somewhere else. It is the responsibility of the government to understand why those people are poor, why they are on the streets in the first place, and also address those root causes. Because poverty is not contagious. Poverty is not a crime, and certainly should not become a reason to tell citizens they no longer belong in a particular state. Because the Nigerian Constitution guarantees that every citizen has the right to move freely from one place to the other within the country. Notice what the Constitution does not say. The Constitution does not say that freedom of movement belongs only to those people who own houses. No. The Constitution did not say that you must have certain amount of money in your bank account before you can live in Lagos. No. The Constitution does not say the rich can settle anywhere else while the poor must remain in their state of origin. Every Nigerian has the right to be anywhere within the state. any part of the country. Whether you're living in a mansion, in a rented room, in a shelter, on the streets, citizenship is not measured by wealth. So if one wealthy businessman can live in Lagos, and we call that investor, and a poor Nigerian from another state who is surviving on Lagos street suddenly should be sent back to their hometown, that is double standard, and it stigmatizes the poor, and it sends a dangerous message that our constitutional right depends on your economic status. And that is why this conversation does matter. As funny as it started, but this is a serious conversation, because if we rightly criticize South Africa and we feel Nigerians were treated as outsiders in Africa, then shouldn't we consider the safety and well-being of Nigerians in Nigeria? Should we think it is okay for Nigerians in Nigeria to be sent to other parts of the state simply because the state where they reside do not see them as befitting of that state? And then we talk about national unity. How can we tell citizens of national unity when they only can belong to their ancestral states? So, if the concern is order, create order. If the concern is unemployment, create jobs. If the concern is vulnerable people, provide rehabilitation and give them social support. So those are the marks of good governance. Moving people from one state to the other does not solve the problem of poverty. It simply relocates it, because a government cannot be judged by how best it hides poverty. A government will be judged by how well it reduces poverty. The real question is not whether Lagos should be orderly. The question is this: are we solving a problem, or we are simply moving Nigerians from one part of Nigeria to another part and we're calling it solution? But then we talk about one Nigeria. It is a truth at a time. Take care and have.
When I refuse to judge South Africans, everyone is out for me. You are heartless. You don't care about the poor. I do care about the poor. It's just that the same way I care about the poor, because I know what it is like as a poor person myself. The same way I feel for the poor, I care about them. I also care about the people that the poor are being a liability on. I don't know if you get it. It is a difficult and uncomfortable conversation. It is easy to cast a stone. It is easy to judge people for doing things that you are not being caught doing, or things that you do in the dark. In as much as I care about the poor, does that mean that I should hate those that are comfortable? Is it their fault that they are doing well? No, it's not. And this is where my support for South Africans come into play. This is the connection here. In as much as everyone is thinking about the migrants, oh wow, what are they going to do? We must never forget to put ourselves in the shoes of South Africans, especially the black community. Of course, it will never make sense. I get it, and it must not. But it's not every time that people talk about something, you will now bring emotion into it, and you want all of us to feel that way. I can't. I personally do not feel the same way everyone is feeling about this issue of undocumented immigrants in South Africa. I don't. And if I force myself to feel the way everybody is feeling, then I'm not doing myself good. See, I'm not judging people that are angry at South Africans, okay? But I also do think that South Africans' life too matters. Now, how do we get justice for the poor citizens of Nigeria? How do we go about it? Nobody is talking about that. Everybody is talking about the other. Or is it that the poor people in Nigeria do not matter? We all care a lot about our fellow black people in South Africa. But have you thought about what the poor people in our countries are going through? Do we think about them? And this is why I come in, and I come in peaceful, to be on the side of South Africa, because they remind me of me. I do not know how to pretend. I don't know how to fake it. So South Africans only sin in this whole brouhaha that we have been talking about for months is their inability to be diplomatic. This is why every single country on this continent is now a saint. We have come together, used South Africa as that sacrificial lamb, the bad one, the black sheep of the continent. But in actual sense, we are no better than them. We are all the same. The only difference is that they do not know how to pretend. And this is where they won my heart. On this topic, maybe I can discover something about South Africans that would intrigue me. But for now, the reason I'm on their side is because they are being themselves. We are all acting like we care about the poor people in our countries. We don't. No, we do not. The reason it feels like we care about our fellow black people in South Africa is because we just want to look better than South Africans. Otherwise, we are not. But there's a lesson I would like Nigerians to learn in all of this. Let us get into that video and I'll be right back.
South Africa has published an updated list of countries whose citizens can enter the country without a visa for short visits. The visa-free policy is designed to promote tourism, business, trade, and stronger diplomatic ties with countries that have reciprocal agreements with South Africa. Among the African countries whose citizens can travel to South Africa without obtaining a visa in advance are Botswana, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania, Mauritius, Angola, Kenya, and Ghana. The length of stay varies depending on the agreement between South Africa and each country. Nigeria is not included on the visa-free list, and Nigerian citizens still require a visa before traveling to South Africa. South Africa's Department of Home Affairs says visa exemptions are based on bilateral agreements, immigration policy, security considerations, and reciprocal treatment between countries. Visa-free entry does not give visitors the right to work, study, or live permanently in South Africa. Those activities still require the appropriate permits. Officials say the policy aims to make travel easier while maintaining border security through new electronic travel systems and immigration controls. If you're planning to visit South Africa, it's important to check the latest entry requirements before booking your trip, as visa policies can change.
With all that is happening, Ghana is the one that is even going back and forth with South Africa, diplomatically going back and forth with South Africa than Nigeria. But guess what? As a Nigerian, you cannot be allowed in South Africa. And this is why I keep saying that our international image has a lot more to do with our behavior as citizens outside Nigeria. This is why our passport is weak. It's not always about our leaders. It has a lot more, like 80% more to do with how we conduct ourselves outside Nigeria. With all the tension going on between the whole continent versus South Africa, even Zimbabwe is still visa-free to South Africa. This is where we Nigerians now need to learn that everything is not always our leaders. It has a lot more to do with how we comport ourselves outside Nigeria. And this is where Ghana have it up there, sitting pretty. They are always ahead of us. And that is why it seems like there are no Ghanaians in Nigeria. There are so many Ghanaians in Nigeria, and some are not willing to leave. But the difference between the Ghanaians in Nigeria and the Nigerians in Ghana, it is that we Nigerians are always in the news for the wrong reasons. I understand that you want to blame me for posting the news of Nigerians in Ghana. I'm not trying to say I'm holier than thou. I'm only saying that these news are already in public domain. I post them or not, they're out there. People have seen it. In all, I'm saying that if we can learn to comport ourselves, we might just not be at this point where we are with almost every country. Maybe if we learn to behave a little more, like humble yourself, that's the word. You don't have to go to other people's countries and start bragging about how amazing your own country is. If you could leave it behind, why go to other people's countries and make them feel like they're not good enough? I can spend a whole day here trying to pass this message out. Lots of people will still not hear it. Just because it do not make sense, I hereby end this video here. and I hope to see you in my next one. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.